China appointed Panchen Lama vows to make Tibetan Buddhism more Chinese in meeting with Xi Jinping. The Chinese government selected the 11th Panchen Lama Gai in Kind Norubu at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing on March 4, 2024. Hong Kong CNN, a young Tibetan controversy appointed by China's atheist Communist Party as the second highest spiritual leader in Tibetan Buddhism, has pledged to make the religion more Chinese. Garten Norubu was installed by Beijing as the 11th Panchen Lama in 1995 in defiance of the religion's highest authority, the Dalai Lama, whose pick for the role, a 6-year-old boy, has since vanished from public view. China has yet to reveal any information on the whereabouts of the missing boy. The Beijing-appointed Panchen Lama is dismissed as the impostor by many Tibetans at home and in exile, but he is often quoted in China's state-run media towing the Communist Party's line and praising its policies in Tibet. In a rare meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing on Friday, Garten Norubu vowed to make his own contributions to promoting ethnic unity and systemically advancing the Sinicization of religion, the state news agency Xinhua reported. The remarks refer to the sweeping campaign unleashed by Xi Jinping with an aim to purge religious faith of foreign influence and align them more closely with the traditional Chinese culture and authoritarian rule of the officially atheist Communist Party. Norubu was vowed to keep Xi Jinping's teachings firmly in mind, resolutely support the party's leadership, and firmly safeguard national unity and ethnic solidarity, according to Xinhua. He was told by Xi Jinping to carry forward the patriotic and religious traditions of the Tibetan Buddhism and contribute to fostering a strong sense of community for the Chinese nation, Xinhua reported. The meeting comes on the 30th year of the disappearance of the Dalai Lama appointed Panchen Lama, following the 1989 death of the 10th Panchen Lama. The second most important figure in Tibetan Buddhism, the Dalai Lama named Tibetan child Gedhun Choeki Nima as his colleague's reincarnation. But 3 days after he was chosen, according to the U.S. government, Gedhun and his family was disappeared by the Communist Party, which then appointed the alternative Panchen Lama. Gedhun hasn't been seen in public since. 2 women placed a ceremonial scarf above the portrait showing the last known image of Gedhun Choki Nima, India, on April 25, 2017. In a statement marking that anniversary, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio denounced the Chinese authorities for abducting him and his family. He called on Beijing to immediately release Gedhun Choki Nima and stop persecuting Tibetans for their religious beliefs. In 2020, the Chinese government publicly acknowledged the fate of Gedhun Choeki Nima for the first time, describing him as the college graduate with a job, and that neither he nor his family wishes to be disturbed in their current normal lives. Meanwhile, the Garten Norubu has occupied an increasingly high-profile role since becoming an adult, joining joining a top Chinese political body, often appearing on important events in Beijing and meeting large crowds in the Tibetan regions of China. The contested appointment of the Panchen Lama is widely seen by experts and the Tibetan exile community as Beijing's attempt to pave the way for the passing and reincarnation of the Dalai Lama, who has lived in exile since fleeing to India following a failed Tibetan uprising against the Communist Party rule in 1959. For decades, the Dalai Lama has been a persistent thorn in Beijing's side as he commanded the loyalty of many Tibetan people from exile and kept their struggle for greater autonomy alive on the world stage. Chinese officials have condemned the Nobel Peace Prize laureate as the separatist and the wolf in monk's robes. The Dalai Lama has said he will release the details about his succession around his 90th birthday in July. In his latest book, Voice for the Voiceless, the Dalai Lama said his successor will be born in the free world, which he described as outside China. Beijing has insisted he will choose his successor as well as the reincarnation of all Tibetan Buddhist lamas, but the Dalai Lama and his supporters have said that any successor named by China would not be respected.